Hi, everybody. Welcome to Boulton from Boulton, the show where my brother Josh and I set each other up for fun and insightful hockey talk and banter. Josh, I see that this guy, what? Two thumbs what? What is he? Oh, this guy needs a beer. All right. Well, yeah, it's evening for you. You could do whatever you want. This guy is in the morning here in Korea, so I need coffee. But we're going to go on anyway. How's it going, by the way? You doing all right today?
I'm doing great. Good day. Friday, so weekend.
Friday, TGIF. All right, well, TGIF, TGI, it's the finals coming up too. This is pretty exciting, Stanley Cup finals. Before we get into that and maybe tell who we think is going to win the final, we will just recap the conference final predictions we made. If you recall the last show, we had both predicted Tampa in the East, and then you called Dallas in the West. I called Vegas. I didn't feel great about it, and I just kept feeling worse as it went on. I was just like, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. There's the whole, I don't know if it was the goaltending thing, causing something. People just felt every time. It's like, I feel it didn't feel like they were just all moving as one. I don't know. They didn't have their Vegas thing going. Dallas has something special going, and they just destroyed them. So how did it go for you, from your perspective?
There's going to be some. I will bring up some kind of fun stats as the show
on this show. Okay,
but I just took notice of, what did it say that the Golden Knights had? I was watching the third period of that game, and I was telling you it was like fate that I watched it, because I didn't watch it the night it happened. I watched it like the morning after, but it was like 5:00 in the morning, and I just turned the game on, and the third period was just starting, and that's where I'd left off. So it was like, oh, okay, I'll just watch that. and then this stat popped up, and there's a whole thing going on right now between the analytics crowd and the just straight up go with your gut instinct crowd in terms of hockey, how scouts should operate. Should they just go with what they see in the eye test, or should they trust all these deep analytics that people are getting into these days? Mm-hmm. And the stat popped up on the screen. Vegas Golden Knights have the best third period goal differential in the entire playoffs. They were plus 13. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, that whole thing popped in it's 5 a.m. There's nothing going on. I'm laying in bed, and I turned this game on, and Dallas is down 2-0, or whatever it was. And Vegas actually scored at the start of the third period. It wasn't like it was that score for a long time. Vegas actually scored in the third period. And I was going, it's really amazing how much those stats really don't matter, because when Dallas comes back here, it's just going to be like, who cares that they have the best? And I had that thought the whole third period. There was no doubt in my mind. I was just watching the game going like, time's ticking by. I wonder when they're going to score. And there it comes. And I wonder how that next one's going to be. Is it going to be a bad one? There was never a doubt in my mind that Dallas was. I just knew they were going to come back in that period. I don't know why.
So there's something in what you saw and felt and were able to detect, or, just because of your experience, that you're just like, Dallas is coming back on this, regardless of what the stats. And of course, these stats don't mean that you're the best third period. Well, I guess they're going to win third periods. It just means in the long run, if you're playing money ball, then it's going to be better. Yeah, I think there's a place for both. I'm not going to say, well, no, it's all about the stats. Certainly not. It is about people with experience. We need it because they know how to push the right buttons or pull the right strings, or whatever analogy you want to use at the time, because they can read the game. They know what hockey's about. They know what ebbs and flows are about. But stats, it's kind of funny you bring it up. I did not think of this because I didn't know you were going to bring that up. And this is why I don't even have the guy's name, but I read an article recently about the Penguins and how they have this analytics guy that came in. And this was just before they won their 16 and 17 cups. And they said he's like one of the most valuable guys in their organization, right? So, but again, just as Mike Sullivan always says, and most people do, the more information you can get, the better, right? But then you want to come back on guys like you and guys like I would like to think I am, and real hockey people and coaches who can feel the game and understand. So, I would say at that time that there's no reason Dallas shouldn't feel like they're going to come back, and so, I look at their stats. I guess that's it. What are we supposed to do? Let's try to do something different. No, you just knew what was happening. I
would like to say that I am pro analytics. I love the information that it brings, but there is something to be said for things generally. An analytics crowd understands this. You may have high numbers in a certain area, but eventually they all drop back down to the to the average. No matter how high you're riding for however long it is, eventually you will come down to the average. And it's just a matter of when that happens, how long you can maintain it before that happens. So the Vegas Golden Knights have played exceptionally well in third periods, but you can't play well every single third period. And there was just something about that third period where I was like, okay, this is it.
Didn't I say that before about something else where I said just on the day when Detroit is meeting a team on a schedule, depending on what they've been doing and certain things, I'm just like, this is not the day for them to be taking on this weak team we would expect to win, but we're not going to get it or something else. Yeah, nobody. I didn't think you were knocking analytics at all. But of course you need that. In any case, you were way right on feeling Dallas out. I was just feeling kind of the Vegas, but there was something wrong in it, and I half knew it. But anyway, there it was. Dallas, that was the 4-1 series, right? That was just a blowout. And then we had both series at 3-1 again, just so we had three of the other four of the conference finals, or no, three of them were at 3-1. All of them were at 3-1. And then now here, these ones are at 3-1 as well. But one of them just cracked out at 4-1. And then the other one, when you got to 3-2 with Tampa and New York Islanders, you almost felt Eberle coming in with the ex-Oil coming in with the OT goal there. You almost felt in game 6, like there's a different feeling going on. You just had the conference final. What are you thinking if you're Tampa going into that game and you've just seen 3 conference finals all come back to 3-3? What are you thinking in game 6? Again, a lot of stuff's feeling different to me watching this whole bubble, Stanley Cup here. What did you feel anything different about it and think, ooh, maybe the Islanders are going to tie it up here, or no?
Someone asked me at work, what do you think's going on? And it was, I think it was 3-1 both series, and I was just like, it's clearly Dallas Tampa final. Like these series are over. And he's like, really? You don't think like? And I'm like, no. So the stats the other way, it felt good. I think the attempted shots on goal for Tampa, they had over 100 in that game. Attempted shots on goal. So I'm looking at those stats and I'm thinking, yeah, this jives with the way the game is going. I noticed when I was following the game on Twitter, I watched some of the live tweets as I'm watching. I see how people are feeling, and like the TV commentators actually said, it seems like the Islanders are taking over this game. And I was thinking, what game are you watching? Like, yeah, they've had a bit of ozone time, but they're not really accomplishing a whole lot. And Tampa's just like, we got this. Overtime, doesn't matter how long that overtime is going to be played. Doesn't matter how many power plays Tampa did score, and they were winning that game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. At 3-1, I was saying Dallas, Tampa are in. 3-1 for both series, I was in. But once it was 3-2, all I'm saying is on that game 6, when you drop the puck, do they think, oh, we're going to have to do a game 7? We're probably going to win that. I know, just this whole thing, but just sucks to have to go there. Is there anything like that? Or were they just going after the 3-2 when it was game 6? That's all I was saying. But
you look at the Dow. I mean, I love Rick Bowness. I'm rooting for him. Like, I really enjoy his whole story. But you look at the reactions of the wins in the series clinching game, and you got Rick Bowness like just getting jiggy with it in there, just losing his mind, all excited. Like, I think it's great when coaches show emotion, and you have just John Cooper, like he won and he watched the goal go in, and it was one of those ones where Cirelli wasn't even sure if it was in or not. He double check, right? So it's even one of those, and John Cooper's just sitting there, and then he's got this grin that comes over his face, but he doesn't really move or do anything. He just has this grin, like, there it is. I've been waiting, and there it is, and I can finally just, it's almost like when I got my driver's license. I remember the first time I was able to drive by myself, and I remember thinking how, like, it seems like it wasn't like I can't believe it, finally. It was more like God, it feels like I've been ready for this forever. Like, it's just, of course it's going to happen. And this is just like finally what life was supposed to be like. That's what John Cooper's face.
Yeah, I've been taking my dad's car out secretly for years, and I already, I just know how to do this. It's just official now. No, I know what you mean. But just something you knew you were going to be able to do. Of course, that wasn't the case. Well, there it is. Anyway, Tampa is in and Dallas is in, and that's it. Now, a lot of people really care about these superstitions and all this stuff, and do people touch the trophy or not, the conference final trophy and all that. We got confirmation on Ben did not touch the trophy. Is that right? He didn't touch it. He did not touch it. And then we had Hedman got up and took it in place of Steve Stamkos, didn't he? And what did Hedman do? You saw.
had been, it looked like a chalk outline on the table where the trophy was supposed to be. And he moved it slightly around the table, like he was touching it. And he didn't pick it up and put it over his head or anything, but they were clearly okay with moving that around. And Stamkos did come out to take the picture with the team, but it was already like moved around by then. So I don't know what he thought they were going to do, but they'd already done it by the time he got out there.
Right.
They all seemed pretty pleased with themselves. So
yeah, so they didn't actually pick it up and go, yeah, we got it, but they kind of like they touched it. I mean, it's touching. I think that's an official touch. When you say, they would say, well, we didn't really. Maybe they're trying to hedge or something and say, well, we didn't really touch it if they were, whatever happens later, because we didn't pick it up or, but no, it's a thing. You lean and you touch and you get the picture, or you don't, or you lean and put your hands down and don't touch it. So that's one touch and one no touch, right? Okay. The Seinfeld reference, people, one tuck and one no tuck. Come on. You mentioned something about the loss feeling different for different people. What do you mean by that? Tell me about that thing.
Well, I was thinking about, like, we have very different memories of your last game of competitive hockey. That's a fun story for another time. But I'm just thinking, like, you'd have White Cloud in the box, and he's watching that from a whole different perspective. He's not even with his teammates, and he's in the box, and he's always going to remember that he's the one that took the penalty when they scored. Like, that's just going to be what he associates with his trip to the conference final. The guys on the bench were like, we're just watching and we're powerless to do anything, and it's in and we didn't get our shift, or, you almost feel like if I got on one more time. And like guys on the ice, there's always going to be that one guy that will say, well, if I just reached my stick over this far, or if I just done, everyone's going to have their own different sort of story where it's almost like a, where were you and what were you doing when it happened?
Yep.
And I don't know why it struck me in that moment, just because there were so many because probably it was on a power play, so I had that aspect and all that. There was just, it just struck me as like, these guys have completely different perspectives.
I know that's love. And it did strike me too, seeing the guy come out of the box. I thought of that and just how you'd feel. But related to that, and I also saw something, and this will be the same, on the OT goal, of Eberle's OT goal, Shattenkirk fanned on that shot on the point, and then he went down and went the other way. And if there were any of those feelings of like, oh God, we let them, they're back in 3-2, it's a game 6, and all it takes is one win and we don't come out, and then all of a sudden we're in a game 7, we had all this stuff, and you think about that. But I saw the guys right away went over and gave him a little bit of that pat on the thing, like, no problem. And that's how you take it, because it is true that you go, I blew it on this play, but it's not that play. There's play after play in the game. Like, you could have buried that one early. You could have made this save. You could have done this. And it's the final play is not the one that made it, right? It's just the one that, you are, it's all high alert and high urgency, and you don't want to make a mistake in that scenario. But I mean, everybody got to that scenario. If somebody could have done something different, you wouldn't have been there. So I think guys get that. They're pros, right? So they don't get it. And I don't think people, they should be able to take it in perspective and say, look, now, unless it was something so dumb, like you just took a dumb penalty in a critical moment, and you did something that was just because of you being a jerk, then that's a lot different. But if you're just playing the game and it's a thing that could happen at any other time in the game, then I don't see why it's different at that moment. In the whole thing, and I don't think anybody will let them feel like that. So, but nonetheless, I'm not taking away from your point that it is something where it's like, I was just sitting there watching from here. I was doing this, whatever happened to heaven. And if I had just, I should have hooked that guy down. Like Dale Howard-Chuck on the Lemieux goal in the Canada Cup '87. I was just watching that the other day. It was the first time I don't know if I'm a fool for saying this, but it was the first time I had seen the big hook down. So he takes the draw famously. They push him in the draw famously. Said, "You take it," and then he takes the draw, and then they go up the boards. Of course, Gretzky looks at Murphy and says, "Yeah, right," and then gives it to Lemieux, and then Lemieux buries it, right? But just before that, coming up the ice, there's a back checker going. He might have got caught up to Lemieux and had it put a hook on him. Howard just goes yank, and the guy goes spinning on the ground, and it's like clear sailing for Lemieux now. Oh, there's Mario. Thanks, Dale. Like,
he's right there, and he just disappears off the screen. It's hilarious.
It's unbelievable how big a hook it is. It's like the old, vaudeville cane. They just yank you right off the stage. One of those. Oh man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did not plan to bring that up, but it just occurred to me at the moment.
It's my favorite part.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome.
So funny. And it's funny, you bring up like iconic moments. Where were people? Like when you're watching the game, like an overtime game or something like that. Like now when you see that face off, you just know what's coming next and you're like, oh, this is the play. You got to watch. You can't just watch the goal, but you have to watch that whole build up. And I do that when I watch soccer games too. I can't just watch the goal go in. I have to watch like the 2-minute build up to it or whatever.
Yeah.
In hockey, I don't need 2 minutes, but in soccer I do. But in hockey, I like to watch the 25 or 30 seconds that led up to the goal too. And when you're watching the game, that's just another face-off. And if they miss, you wouldn't even think anything of it. But because something happens after, now that becomes your association, that little face-off, that move up the boards. You're like, oh, here it comes.
Yeah, and every little thing becomes significant. Like even the commentary is like, oh, Dale Hartrick's going to get the assignment or whatever the commentary, something like that. And you're like, yeah, we know the story of that. They were Gretzky and Lemieux like, I'm not taking it. Right? So, I mean, but just now we know it. It just makes it way more fun, everything. Yeah, and it is so much more fun to get the build up because then you can kind of experience like Crosby's to Vancouver goal. You just kind of watch the whole. He dumps it in, and then he goes chases after it, and it's like okay, it's just dump and chase, right? Don't do that. Remember Leafs. Remember they didn't like the dump and chase. We got to play possession, right? But anyway, dump and chase. He goes and gets his puck back, and then it's the Iggy, and it's all over, right? So, but you watch the whole build up because then you get to almost feel that when it happens. I don't know, something about it. Let's keep it moving here. Keep it moving, people. But this is the fun stuff I love talking about. And you mentioned something about the Tampa and Dallas. A lot of the players on it have not been to a conference final. So it's with that, this bubble experience is the only experience they ever know. So how did you think about that? And elaborate.
Because I saw Danny Ben standing there doing his post-game interview. And this is what made me think of it. And he's like, I realized that the guy, normally you'd be leaned right in, basically licking the guy who's interviewing me because you can't hear anything. And they're screaming the question at you. And they're like, usually their answer is, I don't know what you just said, but there's no words to describe this. Like it could just do like, that's the whole interview. Because now they just stand calmly. They're like 6 to 10 feet away from each other. There's a giant mic coming up and it just looked so funny when they were standing so far apart. And I was like, that's so weird. Like, what a different experience than some of the other people. And then I thought to myself, that's all they know. He's never been there before. Yep. It's an empty arena. It's all quiet. He has time to sit there and think about what he's saying. He's all like, whatever. We made it to the finals, didn't win the finals, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know everything is different. And I think all of this stuff that we look back on the champion, their whole experience of it, and then all the experience all the way through. I just think some of these, amazing plays that have happened and scenarios and stuff like that, they're just without the crowd, you just miss that thing. Like a lot of the highlights I love to watch and look back on is just somehow the reaction of everybody losing it as well at the same time. It just adds something to it. And we are missing that. But I mean, we're getting great hockey. There's no doubt about that. But it is all missing something, and the whole thing is odd. And I guess they're going to have to try to win it again. But good luck with that. Getting back to the finals, as we've talked about many times, how with the parity and the number of teams and all that. Dallas with the game puck collection. That's another issue here. I noticed Ben picking it up one time myself, and then you mentioned it's happening all the time. You, the journalist that you are, and you went in and found out more about it. What have you got for us, Josh?
So I dug deep. I put a tweet out that says, anyone notice the Dallas Stars are picking the pucks up? Is that a thing? And my followers get back to me. There's a Dallas fan I know.
Connections.
She sent me a little clip of a video that's 30 seconds long of Rick Bonus in the room. And very simply, there's a board with 16 holes because you need 16 wins for the cup. Oh. And he shows them putting the puck in. He's going, 4 more, boys. And I remember my junior team did this when I coached. We needed 12 wins or whatever to win the league. Mm-hmm. We only got 7. But anyway, the guys were collecting the pucks, and we had a little pile going, and somebody stole the room, so you could just watch the pile go, and it just gave you something to work for as a little motivation. I actually think it's kind of neat, and it makes me almost like, oh well, I hate unfinished jigsaw puzzles. So if Dallas doesn't get 4 more wins, that's not going to be finished, and it's going to bother me. So
be very frustrating.
But no, it was just I just thought that was a neat thing. And I kind of guessed that's what they were doing, but I didn't know if there was something more to it or not. And there you go.
Yeah, like, no, I love the idea of that kind of thing. You get to see something that's visceral. You get to have the ceremony afterward of filling it in, that kind of thing to confirm it, all that stuff. I wonder now, hearing this reminds me, I wonder if you wouldn't have been more affected in junior if it wouldn't have been a cardboard cutout of you saying, you guys stink, and then they remove a piece of clothing every win or something like that. That is a Major League reference, everybody. If you do not know that, go watch Major League already. Are you kidding me? But anyway, but you did a similar thing. Dallas is doing something similar. Not quite as motivating as that, but motivating nonetheless. All right. So you mentioned, okay, I guess that's pretty much all we have now before we do our picks.
Couple of quick things. That's fun. Couple of quick stats. I know we don't do stats of the show, but I thought it was amazing. Tampa Bay is the only team Now, I thought it was so funny. The guy who tweeted it said Tampa Bay is the only team in the 103-year history of the NHL that won all 3 rounds, clinching the series with an overtime victory. They're the only team that's ever done that. Now, he did name a couple of people that have done it when there was only 3 rounds, so they won the first 2 rounds in overtime. But no team has ever won 3 rounds. So I thought it was funny. Someone called him out and said, you put in the history of the 103-year history of the league, but you also didn't mention how many of those years there were only 3 series that people couldn't possibly have done it. But anyway, I thought that was funny. But there it is. And I was like, if the 93 Canadians hadn't done it, then because they had 10 overtime wins in 1 year to 16.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
So I wrote the guy and I said, I don't doubt your stat. I just was amazed that if the Canadians didn't do it that year, then I figured nobody would. And he said, yeah, they only won the first round in overtime. So they didn't even not win 3, they only won 1. Yeah, that's amazing. And then the other thing was, you can comment on that. I just want to say the stat before I forget it.
I don't much. Keep going.
Both Dallas and Tampa Bay clinched in overtime. Now that I've said that and got your attention, I can't remember that stat. It was like the first time that's happened since like forever, I guess.
Okay. But it's certainly significant that they both clinched in overtime. They're both coming off overtime wins going to the final. Clinching in overtime. That's pretty cool.
Ooh. And then someone pointed out that I remember the last time that happened, one of the teams won in 5, like Dallas did, and one of the teams won in 6, like Tampa did. And the team that won in 6, whoever it was, won the cup in 5 games.
Really? Well, is that going to have anything is it going to affect your prediction at all, or has it affected your prediction?
Well, I have that stat in the back of my mind, and I got the Dallas Stars puck board in my mind. So I got a lot to consider there, right?
All right. Well, you did throw those in, and those are fun stats. A little anticlimactic maybe is just one little thing on the scheduling. There's back-to-back games in the schedule. You've already been up on the schedule, a bunch of different shows, complaining about different things. What do we got a back-to-back for in the Stanley Cup final? What do we think of this? What do you think of this? And people, what do you think of this? Go ahead, Josh, tell us.
Well, they've done 4 or 5 versions of the schedule, first of all, because they did it after game 3 of the first round, the conference finals, let those be over. Why don't you just paste that in the New York Islanders dressing room and say, hey, losers, as soon as you finally decide to lose, this is the schedule. So now they're like, oh, I'm going to win that game. And now we have to change it again, and we announce this. Why are they doing that? Just who are you competing with? You have the rink. You are there is no competition for ice time. Just wait till this happens. What are those guys going to do? Oh, we can't. You should have given us the schedule earlier. We can't play that night. We are going to the movies. What are you talking about?
Why they put it out so early?
They need a day or two now. So that's my first pet peeve. And then, what are you having a back-to-back for? Why? Who needs a back-to-back?
I mean, all I had earlier that other time was maybe it's expensive. They're running mini cities in these bubbles, so they're trying to condense the whole thing. But I don't know. It's big business. You guys can make it. You want it to be the best product, right? So what do you have it back-to-back for? I don't get it. Somebody might have an answer, and we're just going on. Look, guys, this is what we advertise this show as. It's like kitchen banter. It's like how me and Josh would be sitting here on a call going, why have they got the back-to-back? What are they doing? And meanwhile, somebody, in hockey would be able to go, well, it's because of this. It'd be I see, right? But at the moment, I can't really figure it out why you have a back-to-back. are you frozen? So that was one thing. And I just got one more small one before we go on, because it came to me. I made a note of it. I was like, I just want to, what is this from these guys? Eddie Olczyk on the commentary. It was in a Tampa game. The rebound comes out and he's like, and Hedman walks in and shoots from about 44 feet. What is this 44 feet? Why are these guys, like, there was an original commentator who used to say that a lot. I don't know if it was Bob Cole or somebody used to do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's cool. Maybe it was a fun thing that he was doing it, calling the blue line a certain amount or whatever. And it was his thing. But is Eddie Olczyk trying to get in the video here? Like, what is this?
Is he doing that?
And he's doing it.
Bob Cole and Harry Neal used to work together. So Bob Cole would do his fun call, and then Harry Neal would chime in, and he let it go from 21 feet. Like, so I'm sitting there watching the game, and it's like, you see a goal go in, and then you're like, don't say it. Don't tell us how many feet it was. Don't say it. And then he says it. You're like, no.
I know. Now we got Eddie O coming in and trying to do it, right? So I just thought, what are you talking about? How do you even know? You getting back in the replay. You got to hire a guy in your truck there that has it all, like, get a graph on top of the thing over top, so that, because that's what you want to say. Anyway, the 44.
I don't know why he knows the distances, but they always take 7 replays. They're watching it, and everyone in the world knows it was tipped in front of the net. And they're watching and goes, looks like it went straight into me. Not sure if it hit anything. And then by the 4th replay, they're going, oh, wait, there's a stick there. Not sure if it hit the defenseman or the forward. And then they played the game. And then by the second intermission, they confirm whether it was hit. And you're watching it from live to the first replay going, they clearly hit a stick. Like, pay attention. But they can tell me that it was 44 feet. You kidding me?
Yeah. Well, yeah, see, it should be us. Everybody thinks they should be the commentator, right? We could do a lot better, but give me a break with the 44 feet stuff. But you know what? We're going to have to get into the end here, Josh. We're going to have to get right to our picks here for the Stanley Cup final. Well, what have you got for the Stanley Cup final?
Do you want to hear what I hear first? Okay.
I don't care. Do you want to tell me? You want me to tell you?
I'm telling you. I'm going to say the same thing about the Dallas Stars that some awesome fan had in the 1991 Stanley Cup Finals when Pittsburgh played Minnesota. There was a guy in the stands that held up a little sign that said, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, just be glad you got this far."
Whoa! Oh, I kind of expected you to be coming in for Dallas. Just because of the way it's going, and they just seem like something to you. I don't know. That's amazing. All right, so you think Tampa then? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, dear John. Well, you know, that's something, because I do have Tampa as well, but I have a little, not an asterisk. It's not an asterisk at all. I have them picked to win. I just have a regret about it. And it is about Stamkos, although I hear now he's out for game 1, but he may return in the final and all that stuff. But, you know, like, what I always have is sometimes, like, for example, once Pittsburgh got knocked out of the finals when Ovi won his cup, 2018, it was almost like I wanted him to win so that he could get his cup, so that Pittsburgh could go ahead and win it the next year. Because I know he's going to win one, and I want him to win one. So it's like, go ahead and win it so that you're done, and then I can just enjoy and really full throttle Pittsburgh can win next season. It's just like those things, like I said, when the team's rolling and comes up against my team at the wrong time, I'm like, ugh. Like, if he didn't win, it's like, Pittsburgh won't be able to win because he's going to win, right? So please win it. Well, I kind of want Tampa to cash in their one, because Dallas, they're not nobody. Who I really want to win. Who had at the start of the season, like, even in the top 8, like 4 guys out of each conference, who had like, Dallas Stars are going to be there? Any of these guys? Dan Rosen, these guys? Any of them? I don't think they did, right? I mean, come on. This is just what's going on these days. Now, all credit to them, right? I'm not saying, you know, they don't deserve to be there or anything like that. They've done it. This is true of any team that wins. That's what you do. But I'm just saying it wasn't, you know, I don't think they're going to be able to pull it through, because Tampa is the legit real deal, like we said last time, and why I picked them in the conference final, because they're the same team they have been for a while. And certainly last year, they're just that team, and they got swept. It was an anomaly. And here they are looking good. Now, Stamkos, though, I kind of regret, because if they win, then you know, he doesn't get his cup, and he doesn't get to be part of it. And whatever you can say about, oh yeah, it's your cup too, because this is that team. It can never feel the same. Like, I would never enjoy it as much. I couldn't in my whole history, if I won something that I didn't play in. So I just feel bad about the whole thing because I don't know if you're really going to get there again, right? Not that Tampa can't. They're as legit as anybody else, like next season again, but just how we said how hard it is, right? So I don't know. So I almost feel like if it was somebody else, I might hope that they get it because then maybe he can win another one. But then I just have teams in the East I want to win. So I want Tampa to be done with it. But now Stammer will never get a cup maybe, or it's just a horrible sends a little bit of emptiness for me, a little bit of a loss. Now, if he can come in the final and play and then contribute, it'd be really exciting if he contributes like big time to a couple games, like really, and of course to the whole thing. That'd be even better, but and make me feel a lot better about it. But you get what I'm saying about that, eh?
I do, and at this point, I don't even know if I'd want to bring him in, really. Like, he's Steven Stamkos, but what do you want to toy with any of that? I mean, I don't know. Like, would he even want to try and play? Like, I know he would, and I would. I'd want to dress for a game, but I'd be so worried about, like, oh, now they got to shift the lines around and all that stuff. Like, I don't know.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're on that philosophy, I mean, you don't want to bring him in. But again, I just trust, though, at the end of the day, too, you get so nervous about it. But then if you do bring him, you'd bring him in for a reason. I don't think John Cooper, I think he knows what he's doing. He's got his pulse on there. The team's feeling it. If the team feels weird about something, they wouldn't do it. So everybody would be on board. I know if you're that kind of final guy getting knocked out, it's hard. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how you can ever get the full team thing, like where it's really everybody behind it, like even the guys who just get bumped out, it's kind of like, yeah, no, or you're really just, this is just so exciting because I'm bumped out and I'm early on the team and all this stuff. And you have this full synergy of everybody wanting the thing, however it goes down, and feeling like they're part of it, regardless of their role. But if you get that kind of thing, and they wouldn't do it unless it was going to feel right, and they wouldn't jeopardize winning just to give Stammer a go. So I think John will think that it's because it's going to bulk us up and make us better. Right. And the lines won't be too balanced. It's going to like bulk up this line or give us something on the PP. We need a little bit of something, or I don't know exactly what's going on there. It's working so far, but they might need more. But anyway, all that'll answer itself. I wonder about Vasilevsky sometimes. I just love this guy, the way he plays. He just seems to be following the thing so quickly, moving his feet. He's constantly in a position, shifting and up and down. He's just all over everything. I just wonder how tired he's getting in general. But I guess typically a lot of these teams mostly ride a guy to the cup. So I hope he stays fresh. He's young enough. Because if he is a really good goalie. I guess what we'll have to do is get on some Conn Smythe talk, potential Conn Smythe talk next time. But for today, it's enough that we took our picks. What else do you want to say about this series, Dallas, Tampa in general? Anything to do with what I've just said or something else?
I feel like, the St. Louis Blues became the first team to have 2 players suspended in a Stanley Cup final last year. I feel like that record might be broken before this series is over.
Because of the nature of the Stars and how Tampa's record as well so far?
Oh, just those 2 teams. Like, there's so many grease balls on those teams.
For more information on that, people, go see Josh's podcast, Tough Call, because he brings up, he's been talking about Dallas and Tampa players all through that thing, right? I love that show. I love listening to that stuff, but it is seemingly an inordinate number of Tampa and Dallas guys you're bringing up all the time for either suspensions or just things that might have been suspended. Anyway. Okay.
It's going to be a little different than people are saying how boring the Islanders are to watch. I don't find them that boring, but it's definitely a different style of game. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to be, for the lack of scoring Dallas has been doing lately, I feel like this series is going to be pretty wide open and pretty fast paced. It should be
because they're on or off. That's what you say, right? They're on or off. Yeah. We're down, so now they're going to pick up the scoring again. Yeah, it makes for very intriguing hockey. I think it is a better final than Tampa Vegas. Actually, I like this. I like the look of it, the look of the final. I'm looking forward to it. But I am picking Tampa. I'm not going to pick any kind of games or anything because I'm certainly not discounting the Dallas train, what's going on right now. So it could go deep. But anyway, we've got Tampa. What have you guys got? Let us know in the comments section. I've got to roll now, Josh. So it's been great talking to you again today. great being here with everybody. Enjoy the finals. It's happening, and we'll see you guys next time. Josh, are you there? Can you hear me? Sounds like you're playing a out-of-tune piano, toy piano. Let it go, let it go.